think this is crazy. So over the past God knows how many years, I've always said to you, I'm not a Labour supporter. I've always been kind of a conservative, but they messed up. Um, then I've always been a kind of supporter for Nigel Farage as such to get the motion in place. Um, I've got to say, Andy Burnham, I've got a lot of time for him, and it isn't for the little things that he's doing, right? So this isn't to do with the VAT or the buses or anything like that. The one thing that I love about Andy Burnham compared to Keir Starmer, the only thing I like the difference of is communication, and he just talks and he relates to you and he speaks to you and he makes you aware that he's working for you and for the country. And Keir Starmer was in it as like a head teacher, and I think he wanted the people behind him. And if Andy Burnham keeps his words, he'll have my vote.
So did Keir Starmer lose it because of the policies and not supporting America and VAT and the farmers, or did he lose it because of his connection to people?
I would say a bit of both. So I would say I don't think the people would have cared about the USA and stuff like that. I would say that they cared more about the farmers and how the UK was going to survive as an independent country. I think all the other things that happened, the reason for Tommy Robinson to get as far up as he has is because of Keir Starmer's lack of communication, in my opinion.
No.
You don't think?
Tommy Robinson's only got one place because of one reason: social media.
Yeah, but he was blocked for a long time, and
Yeah, but he's already built up the following then.
yeah,
And
I mean,
blocking him sometimes creates people to look more.
yeah, I think he's because he's been doing it for like 15, 20 years, hasn't he? And
Yeah.
he's
He's not a new guy. He's not a person new
no,
on the block.
but I do think that Keir Starmer, his his reason for his downfall, in my opinion, was his lies and his communication. So if he didn't lie, and if he did lie, communicate and say, look, I had to say this because of this, and say that we can do this, but I can't do that because of this. Instead
Yeah.
of coming,
Isn't that most politicians over time, though, with theory?
and that's what's good about Andy Burnham because he's literally came in from being a mayor straight into being the prime minister. That's never happened. I mean, in all the time that I can think of, I don't think it's ever happened before.
Well, I've always said, and I've said this many a times, that I sit on the fence. I have no favourites. Despite it might look like I'm anti-reform, it's purely their actions taken, just a bit like what you're saying with Keir Starmer. And I'm not a Keir Starmer supporter. I once said I think I prefer him over the last Labour leader, but that was before they got in. But even when they got in, I was dubious because they never really said what they wanted to do. So even then, I was a bit. Conservatives only lost it really because of COVID and all the things that went on there. Let's be honest. I know there were other stuff, but there's always going to be other stuff for every party, every leader. That's life. It's one of those things you've got to get on with and what you agree
Yeah.
and disagree with. So, yeah, I think if Andy Burnham keeps going as he is, and I know he can only do so much, he can't give all these massive tax cuts and this and that. He wants to do this social care, which to me is fantastic because obviously working in care in the past and personal stuff and all this sort of stuff is fantastic. Yeah, people say, well, how's he going to pay for it and all the rest of it? Sometimes you think stop being so negative sometimes. But again, that's opposite to me. what we're talking about, your old favourites of Reform, because Reform want to make cuts to that area.
Yeah. So
And this is why I sometimes target Reform, because they're not as good as this working class party that people believe they are, just because they say stop the boats. But Andy Burnham, yeah, he's saying the right things.
yeah,
Uh,
and you know,
so
and that's kind of what I've always said. The same thing about reform is that I vote reform because we needed change, not because we needed like Nigel Farage. Um, and it. I think it doesn't matter what the party's called. It matters what the party represents,
mm,
and the person who runs the party, depending on your beliefs on how the government is run, the prime minister is the one who leads apparently. But with Andy Burnham, like for instance, he's stopping the digital the recognition
mm.
ID, which I am in favour for, which is going to save so much more money. Which he said this is going to be able to pay for this and this. And it's like, well, okay, why didn't Starmer just do this? Like the people wanted that to happen, and it's just because Starmer
I
didn't.
think Keir Starmer was pushed into a corner with that, because it was all about the immigration. So I think he was pushed into, right, I need to do something now. This, I need to, we as a government, we need to create something to sort of prove against criminals, immigration. So I think that's where the ID thing come from. If you look at it like everyone's got ID, digitalize it, and I've been funny, we all have anyway.
Yeah,
There's cameras all around our roads, all in our high streets, on our phones, on our tablets. We're on YouTube, we're on this, we're there anyway. All these people saying, "Oh, I don't want to piss." I'm sorry, but tough luck. You're out there digitally anyway,
yeah,
and you probably don't even know it. But if you've got a Facebook thing, you're putting yourself out there anyway. Tough luck. Yeah, you've done
definitely.
it yourself anyway. But putting that aside, I think they did it to tackle the problems they was getting regarding immigration.
See, I disagree. I think that's what they told people to make people think that they was going to do something about immigration. The same about they've stopped people from living in hotels, and they made that really big that we've emptied hotels, but they didn't announce that that they've reopened some care homes that have been closed down, and they've put them in care homes. So it's like, okay, well, which one is it? Are we going to tell them the truth or not tell the truth? And I just think with Andy Burnham not mentioning anything to do with the immigration, I think that's a good thing for now, because I think he will work for what people want, and I love his passion for Manchester, and I love that he's got another number 10. I think
Yeah.
that's
I think
amazing.
that's a good idea. I actually do think, because it brings the country more together rather than north and south. United Kingdom, it's basically one unit. I know that includes Wales and Scotland and the rest of it. But, at the end of the day, if you don't unite yourself as one, and that includes all those other countries as well, then you're not united. Let's face it.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
I
Okay,
think
so
I think he's amazing. And you know what? I've never voted for Labour in my life. If Andy stays in, I probably will.
I'm thinking similar. I probably would have voted Conservative next time, purely to the aspect of not happy with the Labour, don't want reform. And I've often said that, can someone convince me to vote reform? No one ever has, so it's not anti. I've said, look, convince me. No one has. Um, so I probably would have been heading back to the Conservatives to try and get back up.
Yeah,
So, but if it, like I said, this is something I've also said to someone recent, I think to the other half. So I never understand. I'll go back to reform supporters here. Um, let's just say not just reform, any party supporters. If someone is doing a good job, What's the best thing to do? Keep your own party in to try and get them in, even though someone's doing a good job, or to keep that person in because they're doing the right thing for the country. So, what's the best thing to do? Keep someone who's doing a good job for your country, or bring in your party. But what if your party don't do the right thing? And you
Yeah.
may not know that. So, just a thought.